Take 1 part Heat, 1 part The Usual Suspects, 1 part To Live and Die in LA, and cobble together other parts of other cop dramas that were acted and written infinitely better, mix them in a pot with a bunch of cliches and a bunch of stuff you can see coming from 5,000 miles away. It's like a Burgoo of stupid. Den of Thieves came out all the way back in 2018. Yes, it's been nearly 7 years as of this recording since this Gerard Butler movie where he plays a hard-drinking, hard-living, divorced cop. My God, talk about typecasting. Gerard Butler has almost cornered the goddamn market, much like Liam Neeson has cornered the goddamn market as far as being an aging assassin that has a particular set of skills, and then they try to add elements to a Taken story that really was only done well in Taken and maybe Taken 2. So Gerard Butler actually is a terrific actor. None of which is on display in Den of Thieves. Why am I suddenly deciding to review Den of Thieves nearly 7 years after its initial release? They're doing a sequel. Christ knows fucking why, because this one wasn't really all that good. Now, there are elements that actually could have worked, and I will explain why this film wasn't all that great. Namely, down to the goddamn length. This is a punishing 140-minute long movie with enough fucking material for maybe 95 to 100 minutes of that. And the attempt at the twist that I'll get into in the spoiler section for those of you that thankfully have been able to avoid this movie. The twist, I mean, my God, how is this seen as any fucking twist? The Usual Suspects had a twist. Primal Fear had a twist. This is just like, oh, look, we're looking at better cop drama action movies and everything with great writing and acting and great directing and great none of which we got here. We got none of that here. We got a cast that actually is fairly talented, all things considered. They're just not able to really do anything, and there are lengthy shots where I'm like, we could have cut at least 10 scenes in half and saved a lot of time. And apparently the sequel is just about as long. Yeah, I'm going to watch it because it really can't be any worse than this, which means I just fucking cursed myself. But yeah, I just decided to watch this and just see, is it as bad as I remember? It's just bland. That's the thing. This isn't really actually a fucking terrible movie. It's just not very good. It was written and directed by Christian Gadgast. I think that's how you say it. He wrote London Has Fallen and A Man Apart. And another person was required to write this because apparently they took turns drinking, and then when they woke up, they were like, hey, that seems like a great scene that we haven't seen in a bunch of other cop dramas. Paul T. Schring. I know that's not his name, but I'm just going to channel Wayne's World. He's written some television, including Prison Break. That honestly was a show that overstayed its welcome. So yeah, Gerard Butler is big. Nick O'Brien. No, I said Nick. No, Hulk. Yes, a hard-drinking, hard-living cop that ends up basically, dealing with a divorce and trying to basically take down this Den of Thieves in a movie called Den of Thieves. Surely you jest. A bunch of career criminals, and they have a driver, Donnie, played by O'Shea Jackson Jr., a.k.a. Ice Cube's son. You can definitely fucking tell that it is Ice Cube's son because there are numerous times I'm like, oh yeah, there ain't no doubt here. There are doubts about some, like, oh wow, that's the child of this actor. Ain't no debating here. It's a chip off the old block. Or a chip off the old Attack the Block. Let's just move on from that. So basically, Donnie is hired by Merriman, who's played by Pablo Schreiber, who is in Orange is the New Black. And actually, he is a pretty good actor, but not Sean Merriman. No, we're not getting that. That would have been a little bit difficult to do. That would have been a bit weird. So, their idea is to take down the Federal Reserve Bank in LA. That's about it. That's pretty much your lot right there. And we just get a lot of, trying to give these characters backstory, including 50 Cent. Yes, 50 Cent was in this movie. I'm not necessarily certain why they thought it was a good idea. He's not a terrible actor. He's not a great actor, but he just is what he is. Meadow Williams is in this as well as Holly. And you do even have Maurice, the Gangster of Love, Maurice Compete, or Compate, however you say it. And Evan Jones, who is in 8 Mile. And yeah, you get a shootout robbery in the beginning. You get some setup. You get another that turns out to be a bit of a red herring until they get to the inevitable attempt to rob the Federal Reserve Bank. And the twist, again, is not fucking surprising at all. And it takes forever to get there. Yes, there are some cool camera shots. Yes, admittedly, the last 30 minutes is fine. But if you've seen Heat, or if you've even been in Heat, or had a fever that has made your heat index spike up, you probably have had a better fever dream than whatever the fuck we got to see in Den of Thieves. The more I think about it, the more the movie annoys me, because it's just hacking off pieces of better cop movies and putting them in here. And look, cop drama action movies are not exactly my cup of tea, but I appreciate the really good ones. This just isn't it. I mean, gangster stuff, cop stuff, you can make these things good, but they follow a particular formula, and this is so goddamn formulaic, it's so stale, it's actually almost impressive that they somehow managed to stretch this fucking thing out as long as they did. So I ain't looking forward to the sequel, but I will watch it, because 336 current releases in 2024 reviewed. Why not try to at least, I don't know, go close to that for 2025? I'm going to get into spoilers. It's on Max if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, yeah, basically we just get a bunch of setup. We get a bunch of stuff with Nick and his wife divorced. I do want to say Dawn Oliveri is beautiful. Good grief, she is. And she ends up taking the kids because he ends up accidentally texting her, it's like a mistress thing or something like that, because he's deep undercover, because they're the bad guys, but they're going to take these career criminals down. And Donnie ends up talking about how, I don't say anything, loose lips sink ships, and he's at this bar working there. He's serving all these guys drinks. He ends up getting taken by Nick and his collection of merry misfit cops, and they kind of grill him about all this stuff. They pulled off jobs for years. Merriman was then in jail for a while, and the idea is that a career criminal, he has decided to get, not necessarily out on good behavior, but has decided, hey, we're going to knock over the Federal Reserve Bank, learning nothing from his previous transgressions. So, I do want to say quickly about this movie, it did cost $30 million, and it had a $15.2 million opening nearly 7 years ago as of this recording, $45 million US gross, and an $80 million worldwide gross. That's not exactly something that cries out for a sequel, and even if the budget is basically the same, or maybe even $10 million more, even if the movie manages to make $100 million, I don't think it's something that's worth making, a sequel out of. And I saw the trailer and was like, I haven't watched Den of Thieves in a while. Is it still boring? No, it's more boring than I remember. So the idea is basically there's a bunch of, money that's, the numbers are taken off of. It's basically made, it's basically taken out of circulation. And it's shredded and it's taken care of. But if you can get to that money first, if you can break into this massively, security, detail-ridden bank fiasco thing, if you can manage to break into that easily, I do want to ask, because they managed to do this pretty easily, then you can get up to $30 million and take it away, and you could spend it, and it's completely untraceable. Sure, why not? So, yeah, basically after Nick's wife takes the kids, he ends up getting served divorce papers, he ends up going to sign them, and there's some new guy that's there in her life. To be fair, you would treat Dawn like a queen, as she is, but that being said, that's the actress's name, and this really drags. There's a point where Nick's like banging some blonde that Merriman knows and everything. And I could get into more details about these characters, but it doesn't fucking matter, because none of these characters really factor into the fucking finish, at least none of the peripheral characters. 75 minutes in, we're back to bank heisting. It's just a typical, community, your credit union type bank, one of those, like you see, like maybe a few branches and like a, the entire tri-state area, curse you, Perry the Platypus. And it turns out just to be a red herring. They are going to kill a hostage every hour if their demands aren't met. And they want money en route. It turns out, by the way, when Nick decides to get Devin Storm, a.k.a. Crowbar, out of his goddamn truck, or a truck, or some truck, and go knock them over and everything, he realizes everybody's gone. Because earlier, there were references to sewer lines that they had used, and that they could use to break into other ones, and that's what they ended up doing. They ended up doing this. It was a red herring. They found a way, it was actually a smoke screen, whatever it was, to get to the Federal Reserve Bank. Because earlier in the beginning of the movie, they had, taken this goddamn armored truck And then they had stripped this stuff off. They shot one cop. They never shoot civilians. So one hostage actually wasn't killed, but they pretended that she was killed. But she actually was grateful that she got, when you're in a hostage situation, you probably would be grateful for a lot of stuff and probably wouldn't want to leave your house for a while. So, yes, it turns out that they are just going to knock over this Federal Reserve Bank. They get in there pretty easily. Donnie had posed as a delivery guy. He started working for a delivery service, a Chinese or Asian food restaurant, delivery place, whatever. Got in there, and it turns out he was there for a while because apparently nobody bothers to do fucking security. He just was there for a while. Jeez, I think I could have knocked over this. I mean, I wouldn't have. Nobody should. Don't commit crimes, kids. But it seems like it's rather easy to break into this. And people say it's also like Inside Man. Oh no, do not compare this fucking shit to Inside Man. Because Inside Man was good. So Donnie was hanging out there. Now the idea is after getting this money, they go to the salvage yard. They got the truck there. They got the stuff that they're, the stuff's being destroyed. They kind of took over the salvage yard. They're going to get this money. It's untraceable money, and they're going to take care of it. Well, Donnie ends up getting taken by Nick and Co. He is in their car. They get stuck in a whole bunch of traffic, and then they end up just getting in a fucking shootout with Merriman and his co. And so a few people on the good side Nick's side get shot, and Merriman ends up getting killed. 50 Cent dies. Nobody really fucking cares. Merriman ends up dying, and then suddenly Donnie is gone. And gee, Donnie being the mastermind of this whole goddamn thing. It's like they're trying to do a Usual Suspects thing or a Primal Fear thing. And yeah, not very good cops. I don't know how the fuck they didn't figure that shit out. But yeah, he's in London. He finds out that one of the patrons actually works at the Diamond Exchange across the goddamn street. He's going to commit another crime. And now that's how we're going to get to Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. I mean, there you go. It's not a detailed plot. They try to make it detailed. They try to make it interesting. They just fail in doing so. So that's it. That's it. That's it for Den of Thieves. I so look forward to the sequel. Really, I do. Honestly, it should be so good. It can't be much worse than this, even though I curse myself. But yeah, Den of Thieves gets an F. I'm sorry. It's just not very interesting. It's a copy and paste of so many cop action drama movies. With just twists and turns that just aren't interesting. And just aren't deep. And decent acting aside, writing and directing is terrible. The last few minutes, or the last, 30 minutes with the shootout and the camera work can't really save it. It's just a Heat copy. So yeah, agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.